Witcher 3 was released less than a week ago, and already mods are appearing on the Nexus site. That's right, before even the Red Kit is released by CD Projekt Red, mod makers are already creating some interesting mods. The biggest surprise regarding the current mods for Witcher 3 is not the fact that they've come out so early, it's the variety of mods that are currently available. This is a totally new game, there are really no tools for modding yet, and already we have mods that change some of the values, the money you're going to find in vendors, how much experience you get from enemies. We have mods that actually change the way the game looks, ones that improve the graphics already. I mean, this is a great looking game, but there are mods out there aimed at actually making it look better. Of course, I do acknowledge that better is very subjective, but to give you an example of the sort of thing I'm talking about, there is a mod called E3FX Simulated 2013 Graphics Reshade. The basic idea of this mod is to make the game look a little more like it did in the 2013 screenshots everyone saw back in 2013. So this mod makes the game a little less vibrant. It reduces the sort of saturated colour you get in the vanilla game. It also takes that warm and comforting light that you get from sunsets in The Witcher 3 and makes them a little colder, giving a more northern, cold atmosphere to the entire game. Interiors look a little darker, a little murkier, and there is a definite sharpening of all of the textures, especially noticeable when you look at facial features. You really can see the textures, they look a lot sharper. Of course, it is going to be up to you whether or not you prefer this look in your game, but I can tell you, you should expect a lot more mods like this. Some of them are going to do the exact opposite and make the game more colourful, perhaps make the light even warmer. Some of them will smudge textures so it looks better on lower settings on weak machines, and a variety of other settings. Of course, we're going to get things like E&B mods and many more. This really is just the start. Now, if you want to try this mod out and see if it's for you, it's reasonably easy to install, and I will show you how to do that now. The first thing to do is go along to the Nexus mod page. Of course, I will leave a link down below, and go to the file section and download. I'm going to download mine to my desktop. Once downloaded, it comes as a zip file, so I'm going to right click this and extract to EFX. I'm going to leave the name unchanged. And open that and have a look inside, and you'll see two files and a folder, Reshade. And if you check the description, the front page, it has installation instructions, which basically tell you to unzip to your Witcher 3 Wild Hunt bin x64 folder. Now, for people using GOG, myself included, that will be wherever you have installed GOG, wherever you have told GOG to install its games. I've told it to install in a folder called GOG on source D, and I have the Witcher Wild Hunt bin times 64. If you have the Steam version, it will be under a folder that, well, I will show you, for example, my Skyrim game comes under Steam, Steam Apps, Common. Skyrim, you will find it under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Something like that. You're going to need to find that folder. And to install the mod, all you're going to need to do is open up the folder that you extracted. You will find a folder, well, basically select everything, absolutely everything that is in there, and either press Ctrl-C to copy or right-click and copy, and then right-click and paste. You have now actually installed the mod. It should work perfectly. One thing I will tell you about whilst I'm here is if you go into the Reshade and edit common settings.cfg, there are various settings that you can tweak. This one, define RFX show statistics, currently set to 0, shows things like FPS. If you want to set that to 1, you will be able to see your FPS in-game in the top left corner. You should be aware that this mod will stop certain programs like Fraps, DxTory, that type of thing, from working with the overlay. So if you want to see the FPS, you may have to enable this. There are some recommended in-game settings that you might want to note down and change once you get in-game. And once in-game, you should see a little message appear in the top left telling you that this mod is working. And if you decide to uninstall the mod, simply go along to the same folder, Wild Hunt bin x64, and delete the d3d11.dll, the reshade.fx file, and the reshade folder. You can also, if you want, delete the d3d11.log. And that's it. Back to vanilla. But the mod that really grabbed my attention straight away was a mod called Extended Keybind Options Menu. The reason this mod grabbed my attention is that one of the few complaints that I have about Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is the key binding options. They're just not good at all. For a start, you can't rebind the movement keys. You've got WASD and you've got arrow keys, but you can't change them. Now, it's not too bad as long as you've got the arrow keys for, for left-handed people or people who prefer to use them, but it's not brilliant. And once you go into the map, unfortunately, the arrow keys stop working, whereas the A and D keys will move you around the world as before. And so, it's the arrow keys can work with some things. For example, they're working now, as do the WASD keys. But again, on the world map, WASD moves me around, arrow keys do nothing. So it's got a few annoying things like that. And I'll tell you now, the mod doesn't actually fix those. But it also has some options that are completely locked, which is very annoying. So for example, map, journal, inventory, they're all locked. They're hard-coded. You cannot change them. And what this mod does is it allows you to change those. It also changes the layout a little as well. I'll draw your attention to the sprint key, which is bound to left shift. And you can also see that if I just reset to defaults, left shift is also modify attack type and also gallop canter, which kind of makes sense. Call horse, stop horse, they both use the same key and so on, but you can see they're actually separated, and so sometimes it's not obvious which keys are doing the same thing. It is actually possible to change these bindings by hand. If you go along to your documents folder and find The Witcher 3, you'll find a file called input.settings, and if you edit that with either Notepad or Notepad++, it takes a little time, a little knowledge, and obviously it's not as convenient as being able to change them from within the game itself. So, obviously, this mod will make it easier. We're going to install it. We're going to start by going along to the Files tab on Nexus, and then clicking Download manually. I'm going to download mine to my desktop. The download itself comes as a 7Z file, which is a type of archive. If you don't know what that is, you need to get yourself a program such as 7-Zip or WinRAR. I will leave a link to both down below. You need to get that installed and learn what it is. That's going to be essential for modding in general. I'm going to right click on this archive and I'm going to extract to, and I'm going to leave this name as it is. And once that has been extracted, I can open it up and have a look inside. Now, the important file is this input.xml and the README file. The README file will give you a brief description of the installation, along with a list of fixes, plus some unfixable bugs. I advise you to read this, acquaint yourself with what it does and does not do, and how to install it. As before, I'm going to need to open up my game folder, the folder for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and I need to go to bin config, R for game, user config matrix, and PC. The file you're replacing is this input.xml, and I'm advising you to back up this one first. And the easiest way to actually do that is to right-click, rename, and then go to the end and type .vanilla. It will ask you to, whether you're sure you want to change this extension, and click yes. Vanilla just means unmodded. It means it's the way the game came as the developers wrote it. And then I'm going to right-click on that, copy, right-click, paste, and there you have it. I've actually installed the mod. It's not quite done yet. There is one more step, but you've pretty much done all of the installation. Once in game, go along to the menu once more, options, key bindings, and hit reset to default. I'm afraid you're going to lose any changes you've made, but you hit reset to default and then have a look at the options. One of the things you'll notice straight away is that there is no more gallop option. Gallop has disappeared. It is always going to be whatever the sprint key is, because why the hell not, I think, is the basic idea there. You'll also see you have some new options. Interact hold, which at the moment is the same as E, and cancel aiming mode. Sheath sword. Now these are actual options that already exist in the game. The game just doesn't tell you and doesn't allow you to rebind them. I mean, sheath the sword, for example, using the C key. Now, you don't actually need to do that, because you can sheath the sword by using the same button you drew the sword with. You know, if you draw your steel sword using the 1 key and then press it again, it will sheath the sword. It's as simple as that. But there is a key for it, and this mod highlights it. But of course, the main thing is that now I can remap things like the map key. So let me just do that. I've remapped it to U. There are no locked options, which of course is great. I still cannot bind my movement keys though. However, you should know it's not all good news. I mean, that is great news. If I go back to game now and open my map, there you go. I've opened the map using the U key. Brilliant. But there is a small problem. The U key gets me into the map, but it won't get me out. I'm pressing the U key now, it's doing nothing. If I press the M key, it goes back. For some reason, the keys in the menu are hard-coded, and I suspect that is why the game locks those options, so that, you know, it's always consistent. I'm hoping this is going to get fixed, either by the developers or by the mod author or another mod author who will find some way of changing the keys in menus as well. However, there are some alternatives. I mean, for example, I can quickly press the journal key and then get out of the journal. That's no problem. Or, of course, the escape key takes you up a menu level if you want to go out that way. So just be aware of that. You can rebind those keys now, and that is very useful, but you will have to press the original key to get out of the menu or switch to something else. So for example, as I said, I can go into the map, I can then switch to the journal using the J key and then press the J key again and I get straight out. There are ways around it, but it's not perfect. It is not perfect. Obviously, mods like this are a work in progress, and the question is, will the mod author beat the developers into fixing this issue? One of the nice options that I like is the ability to rebind the dive key. For example, I can now rebind it. Well, you have to rebind it to the same as the horse call and horse stop, but that's a perfect rebinding, because when you're in the water diving, you will not be calling your horse, you won't be stopping your horse. So it will of course be completely context driven. If you're in water and you press that, you will swim. You won't call your horse until you're back on land. Perfect. So that's the sort of thing that is going to reduce the number of keys you have to remember, the number of keys close to hand. For me, this mod is not the perfect solution to this problem, because obviously the perfect solution would be to be able to bind all of the keys to whatever I like and have them behave consistently in-game as they do in menu, but it is better than the default system for me. The M key is especially annoying just because of the gaming keyboard I use. I like to be able to rebind that key so that it is right at my fingertips, and because the journal key already is where I want it to be, it's not a problem. If you're wondering why that is, it's because I do not use a US layout QWERTY keyboard to play my games. I use a special keyboard designed for games to be used with one hand. So for me, this mod is very, very useful because, as I said, I can actually quickly open my map, and then when I've done with it, just tap journal twice and I'm out. If you've got the escape key close to hand, you can do the same thing. Obviously, it is early days in the modding lifecycle for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, but I am already very impressed at the number and the usefulness of the mods that are already there on the Nexus site. It can only get better, especially once CD Projekt Red release the Red Kit, the modding tool for The Witcher 3, and I have high hopes that we're going to see a lot of great mods. And of course, I'm going to try and test as many of them as possible. So, if you'd like to join me for that, or for any of the other videos that I create, you are more than welcome. And until then, remember this very important aspect of modding, and of course of gaming in general. Have fun.